by bringing together all of the agencies and all the IT people into a common group, we're able to address things cohesively, using all the assets and all the capabilities, all the resources that the state possesses. In a lot of cases, with a lot of organizations, we have an enormous number of resources, but in many instances they simply go underutilized. It's not that we've done this deliberately. In our practice of IT, when we procure something, we tend to over-provision at the time of procurement. So it doesn't matter if it's storage or it's network or it's compute power or whatever it is, we'll go through and we'll buy more to grow into it. Well, when you do that 132 instances separately, that's a lot of over-provisioning. So what we found is that we're able to bring together all these resources under one organization, one environment, and then we can comprehensively address needs just using what we've already got. So it's been an enormous cost savings for the state. It's helped us a great deal. We've done a lot of things as far as moving people from being IT generalists to being IT specialists. So that's helped a great deal. It brings a great deal of efficiency. So in smaller organizations, you might have had 8 or 10 people doing the IT, and they were all to one degree or another generalists. In other words, they were responsible not only for doing the network stuff, but they also might be responsible for doing end user support and PC depot service and managing the servers and managing the security and taking care of the backups and the recovery and the disaster planning and all that kind of thing. Well, now as we brought them, they've gone from being one member of a group of, say, 10 or 12 to an agency of 1,000 people. So now we have the opportunity to specialize so that we can go through and find out what their skills are, and they can articulate a preference for doing something, and we can let them focus on just security or just database administration or just application development or just networking. And that not only improves the quality of the service for all of us, but it gives that person, that individual, the opportunity to hone their skills, specifically around what it is they're interested in. So that's been very helpful and makes them more marketable, and hopefully it'll give them a career path that they can grow through. IT generalist career is kind of limited when you're in a small agency of like I say, a group of 5 or 10 IT practitioners. You just don't really have there's not a whole lot of place to go with that. But when you're in a group of 1,000, then you've got an opportunity to really specialize, really grow. Compute, of course, virtualization of the servers and things has been a great deal of help. But really, more than anything, it's been the establishment of metrics that have been the biggest source of improvement for us. So if you go out to cio.ok.gov and you look at our performance metrics, you'll see we've got dashboards of performance metrics available, and you can even drill it all the way down to the individual. We have the capability to see the individual performance. So the reason that's so helpful is because if a lot of times in states, this isn't just true in states, the single greatest determinant of human behavior is feedback. So what you get back from doing something is what determines what you do next. And in government, we have limits as to what we can provide for money or for advancement or things like this. But one of the things that we can and ought to do is be able to give honest and routine feedback to our employees. And a lot of times in IT, we've failed to do that. So metrics and the dashboards and the real-time presentation of information gives them feedback in the current state. And that's enormously important, because more importantly than money or even some other things that are human motivators, feedback is I believe the greatest motivator to anyone, and that's the thing we need the most. And so that's been the biggest contributor to transforming the organization and helping the folks move towards a higher level of performance and greater job satisfaction is knowing that they're doing a good job, and knowing, well, first of all, knowing what a good job is defined as, and then really knowing their performance against those metrics. That's made such a difference. It's been so transformational. It's unbelievable. Well, we of course, I'm kind of reminded of that Dos Equis commercial that, when I don't often test my code, but when I do it in production. So, I thought that one was a pretty funny comic on it. No, when we're bringing in new things, in most instances right now, it's driven by what the user perceives to be the thing that they've seen somewhere, either at a trade show or at a somewhere in the, that they've seen on TV, an iPad, an iPhone, whatever that is, whatever the new technology is. And unfortunately, we've not gone far enough through the transformation that we really understand requirements in the broader sense. So I'm a doctoral student. I'm all but dissertation at the University of North Texas. My thesis is there are two different sets of requirements. There's requirements in a narrow sense, as systems analysis and design, and requirements in a broad set, so the enterprise architecture or the mission, vision, purpose of the organization. There's a disconnect between those two types of requirements. Right now, our focus in consolidation is on getting the processes down correctly for doing requirements in a narrow sense. But to bring in and to really transform government, to be able to bring things in, let's say use cases for how to use big data, so as we are able to amalgamate data sets from education and from entitlement insurance and from all of our different programs and services that the state offers, as we're able to bring that together, being able to identify use cases that then transform the business of government. That's one of those things that we're just on the very embryonic stages of. We're in the very early, and it's because we've been focusing so much on getting our processes down and our requirements capabilities in the small hardened and mature, I guess is a better word, that now we're starting to make that pivot to focusing on requirements in a larger sense, in an alignment sense, if you like. So once we've done that, once we've got our needs identified, our customer needs identified, then we're really going to make big changes in government. We can come up with use cases that will be prescriptive in nature, that we can actually come up with data analysis that's not just predictive, but is actually prescriptive, that we can go through and tell right now when a student is absent from a class, the school notifies their guardian, right? So a parent or guardian. Well, if that child is a foster child, that should also notify the caseworker. We should be able to tell that. And not only should the caseworker be notified of that, the caseworker should be notified, well, every other Monday this child tends to miss school. Well, now, why is that every other Monday that child misses school? Maybe there's something going on there with visitation or something like that is totally transparent to us right now, but would change the way that we do work in Oklahoma, the way that we deliver services through analytics, to be able to make it not just statistical and backwards looking like transparency does. That's very, very important. That's what we're focusing on now. But we need to make that pivot to being prescriptive in how we do things. So when we talk about new technologies and bringing new technologies in, it comes down to fundamentally understanding what the agency mission, vision, and what outcomes are they trying to accomplish. And then we can say, well, you know what? We can help you with that. This is how we can develop a use case that'll amalgamate data from here, here, and here that tells you something that you had no idea before going on, and save lives or improve the quality of life or transform the way government works. So that's really when we talk about bringing in new technologies, that's really what my hope is.